What's up, guys? You guys are listening to another episode of Live Pixel Podcast, and as always, I'm Sleeper. We also have Justin here.
Hello.
And we have Mike, also known as Jack.
Hola.
Ghost, I think, is here, or I Eat Dirt Ghost.
Hey. Come on now. Hello.
Mud. And we also have a special guest who's kind of...
indisposed at the moment.
Yeah, so do you want to go and do a quick introduction on who our guest is?
So today we have Zach Brown, formerly of Mos Eisley Radio, and now Board and Base. Does a lot of stuff in the community for different games, and has been for quite some time. So I figured we'd invite him on, give him the old Live Pixel welcome, and we could, finally have him on board. So Zach, are you there?
I'm here in the sense.
So we'll be here in a second, is what you're basically.
I'll hop in a minute, guys.
Right, I'm back.
All right, there you go.
Hey,
There
Zach.
Hi, Zach. Hey. There he is.
Say hi, Zach. We're live, buddy.
Woo, yay.
Enthusiastic.
So you want to give people a rundown of where they can find you, since I gave them a rough idea of what you've done in the past and what you're doing in present.
Yeah, I currently work on this project called Board and Base. You can find it over at boardandbase.com. We basically cover all things tabletop or relating to tabletop, board games, card games, pen and paper, anything that might interest you. And we've got a bunch of podcasts, video podcasts, reviews, articles, things like that up. So yeah, if you think that sounds up your alley, check it out.
Awesome. So you want to go ahead and start this thing, Sleeper?
I was going to, and then I moved the viewer list and saw that you named it. We already went with a name. This is a group effort, goddammit.
That's temporary. That's temporary, damn it.
Episode 4, City of Hell.
I thought we were
now, the reason
last time that we were just going to name it after. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I just
could have changed the whole
temporary.
introduction.
I just named it temporary, that's all.
That's not a temporary. That video is on there. It's on the internet now, forever.
Right.
Anyhow, the reason why... We're going to go ahead and call this episode the City of Hell, because last week we didn't do a podcast, being there were some things that we still wanted to get organized on what we're going to be talking about. Some of it is going to be about City of Hell, SimCity. Sato also did a review on that, which we'll probably get into a little bit later. But yeah, how many of us bought SimCity? I did.
I did.
I didn't.
I did.
I got it.
Now, how many of us had fun for the first day?
I did.
Yeah, I did. I especially enjoyed Sleeper raging and having problems as much as I screwed up.
Wait, so let's hold on 1 second, Jack. Real quick, I want to qualify this thing because I think I know where Sleeper was going with this. Were you able to actually get in and play and have fun on the first day? Is what I think, because I think I was the only person who was able to actually do that.
Well, that was slewed with the... What?
Well, what was the day we played? That was the first day, right?
Yeah, that was Tuesday. Well, the day that we
Really?
tried playing for so long.
Yeah, we all got on. It was a pain in the ass to get on first, but we all got on.
Oh, okay.
But we had to...
Fair point.
I should
just
say
remember-
that
Sorry.
Let's talk over everybody.
Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say, I should clarify that I waited a few days before purchasing the game just because I wanted to see what everything was going to play out to be kind of in my area with my group of friends. And so I did not get into like all the fiascos. I didn't get to participate in all the fiascos that were going on opening days. So my first day experience was like 3 days after the game launched. So...
See, in my opinion, I think the fiascos got worse and worse with the epic removal of cheetah speed.
Well,
Yeah.
not just that. They also removed region sharing. Like you start a new city, it didn't matter if your other city had certain upgrades. You had to do it all over again, which absolutely sucked.
Oh, you mean one of the staples of the game, of being able to create your own individual city and do, you can specialize in transportation or agriculture, and when you did that, it was supposed to give it to everyone, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it started to kind of snowball immediately. Like after they first launched, obviously they had the issues with the server, which were perfectly fine. That was of issue, and I think everybody's kind of beat to death the kind of server issue thing. So, but even beyond that, it started having issues where, like, it seemed like they disabled the social stuff, all of that stuff where your region actually the whole purpose for this game existing is been disabled basically, along with cheetah speed. And then that just makes my life a living hell. In fact, I'm not even going to even bother playing the game until cheetah speed comes back. But yeah, it just seemed like they were in like triage mode and just trying to figure out what would work. And they started disabling like key features of the game, and it just kind of snowballed from there. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the first day, like the first 2 days that I played, and although this may be because I played it late at night instead of during the day, because I was, like playing it like, 12 p.m. or a.m. till like 7 a.m. hours. But I never really had an issue on my end. Like I never got like disconnected. I never lost like progress for the first 2 days. But then after that, it seemed like it just progressively got worse and worse as more people got online, as more people got the game. It just kind of snowballed from there.
Then we could never actually get around to making a private server.
Yeah, that too.
So that was kind of screwed because, we'd have 5 of us wanting to play together, and you make an open server, so everyone ends up joining it, and it's like, well, time to find another server.
Yep, and you just create new regions and have them just sit there and do nothing the entire time. That and like Jack and Karain decided that they were going to implode several towns' budgets to the point where they can't be salvaged. So that's more on them. I blame SimCity for a lot of this, or Maxis for a lot of this problem. Because a lot of the things that they could have avoided, they just didn't because of issues with, the way that they designed it. There's no admin features for regions. It's like they didn't even think that anybody would maybe troll people on the internet. Apparently, I don't know about that, but they just didn't think of that. There's like no way to kick. There's no way to like have any admin tools or dev tools to kind of force people out of towns or restart them if they go out of whack. So it's just kind of weird. Like a lot of this game just comes down to like issues that they could have foreseen very easily and just didn't.
Well, also, I don't know if they're... Well, no, they're not new to the online thing. I really don't know. I think it's mainly or EA push this product out or else.
Do you think it's possible that they just really didn't do a proper beta test for this, and that hour that everybody got a few months ago was basically just like a poor example or a poor excuse for a beta test, because instead of getting a bunch of people on playing at the same time, they gave everyone this really limited kind of peek at the game, and because after an hour that was it, they didn't really have like all the activity that they really wanted with the game to get a true stress test.
Yeah, that was something that came up a couple times recently when people were discussing the game. But yeah, like Sleeper, 1 hour beta test. Doesn't that sound like a really good, great beta test, like to kind of evaluate a total product?
Yeah. Well, it looks like within that 1 hour we got, 100 people. We're looking pretty good, guys. Now let's launch.
Do you think that the reason why they might have limited that initial beta test is because they were afraid too many fans of the core game or the original series, if they grab? Because I would say a casual fan, a person that would probably go to the store and go, hey, this looks kind of cool. I remember SimCity. They probably aren't following all the news related to SimCity, and they might pick the game up, and they probably didn't beta test and all that kind of stuff. But like somebody that's been a fan of the series for a long time, that's been waiting for this game to release, let's just say they got a more extensive beta, they got their hands on the game, and they're like, wow, this is nothing like the original SimCity that I remember playing. I don't think I'm going to pick this up. Do you think that might have been one of the reasons?
Could have been, but a lot of the response that people had, at least leading up till the launch of these beta tests that were going on, was that people were expecting that, no, this is a limited product. This is just them limiting it for the beta because they wanted to test specific things. Or the game isn't this limited. And then when the game came out, it's like, yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
and just kind of like, they didn't really know what to expect. EA and Maxis weren't really offering any explanations why a lot of the core features were missing that they had shown in past videos. In fact, if you go back to the CG trailer, I think Sleeper or Jack, one of you guys actually mentioned this when we were playing that first couple days, about the fact that there are no hydro plants or no water plants. That was featured in the CG trailer as a key feature, like one of the ways of gathering electricity that wasn't even there. There were other things that were like that. I think
that's the first thing. Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed is when I build my city, I'm like, all right, got to get a water side so I can build, a water generated power plant.
Yeah.
Nope, nothing.
Yeah, and if you like take that sort of kind of together, where you have these marketing messages from the CG trailers and also the gameplay stuff that they had shown, it just didn't mesh with what they were getting in the beta. So people just kind of assumed, maybe wrongly, and kind of holding their feet to the fire on this, that all this stuff was going to be in there at the launch. A lot of these things that we had seen in the corner, the marketing materials for the game just weren't there, and they just expected it was going to be in the main core game.
That's really the disappointment too, especially the way some parts of the land are based out. Like, see that island Sleeper had to build off of. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
To have those power plants.
Yeah. It's like a lot of the space that you could potentially use in certain cases when it comes to the way that the land works, you just can't use. And there's no terraforming, so you can't get rid of that wasted space. So it's just wasted space, and you feel like kind of trapped in what I'm currently doing here.
Well, the location where I built that one was completely fucking pointless.
Yeah.
There's no way you can do anything with that area.
Yeah, I'm left with because I said in the review, there's a review up if you guys are interested in what our first review says about the game. I sort of elaborated on a lot of those reasons that I kind of think it's a bad game, even besides the server issues, which we've had problems with. I think that the game is nowhere near kind of where it needs to be as far as the sandbox game that it is. It kind of encourages you to build cities in exactly the same way so that you continue on and can get enough population to kind of progress in that way. So you kind of approach it, and then the same thing goes with the resources and the way that the air actually moves on the city, and you kind of just have to build it in the way that like Maxis tells you to in every single time. Like SimCity will sit there and kind of guide you towards what you needed to do. So then every single plot of land, since it's not dynamic, like all the resources aren't dynamic, they stay there, they're static. Like an oil-rich plot is an oil-rich plot forever on that piece of land in that region. So you're kind of left to build the way that they want you to, and that's not SimCity. And the highways are another issue where you just can't funnel enough traffic into your city. Like, who designs a city with a single lane highway leading into it as a method of getting in traffic from other cities? It's just the traffic and the pathing stuff as well is like a massive issue.
Well, it seemed like they took a lot of the freedom out of the game completely.
Yeah, it's just, like, best way to describe it. Yeah, Sleeper. Just like,
I was
controlled.
I was completely surprised when I was playing it. I read the reviews. I read the comments and the reviews being, it's so much smaller, so much smaller. And I'm thinking to myself, it can't be that much smaller. And then you play it, and you're literally working on a tenth of the scale.
I'd say it was even more than
that. If more than that, yeah. You used to be able to build a giant, just a state. And now you're looking at maybe a suburb.
Yeah. Zach, what did you think so far with the game? We had an extended amount of time to play it, but that initial gameplay loop seems at least somewhat interesting.
I would say, okay, I've only played maybe about 25 hours so far, and a lot of it has actually just been me letting my I like to let my city just run without me there. Like, I'll go and do something for like 20 minutes or so, and then come back and like mess around with it some. But I have a different take than most. I would say like 90% of the people online that have been complaining about this. First off, like, I understand and I recognize why everyone is frustrated with the game, why they don't appreciate it, why they don't like a lot of things with it. I was not a big SimCity player in the past. I've played a lot of like city building games, or not even city building, but like kind of civilization type building, like Tropico. I've been a huge fan of that. Just to name a few, like Caesar in the past, things like that. I would, but I wasn't like super hardcore into those games. So
Tropico's a hardcore sim. That is, yeah.
I don't know, like, it's something it'll get my attention, and I'm like, that looks interesting, and I'll sit down and I'll start playing it. And next thing you know, like, I might sink a whole week into that game, and then I won't touch it again. But I do, like, when I get that scratch, like, I'll find something to scratch it. So basically, I grabbed SimCity, but I waited at first because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this or not. SimCity, I haven't been that big into it in the past. Let's see what's going on, or I'll see what everyone else thinks. And immediately I saw all the negativity towards it, and I was just like, okay, I'm glad I didn't buy that game. Like, thank goodness. And then I went out to dinner with a friend of mine, and he was telling me how he purchased it. He's a good friend of mine, someone I used to podcast with, and he basically was like, Zach, I got this. It's a lot of fun, and I know you, and you're gonna like this game. And that was all it basically took to convince me to go out and purchase it. So I did, and pretty much over the course of the week that I purchased it, I just whenever I had free time, I would sit down and play it for a little bit, and I really enjoyed my experience overall. Now there are things that I find frustrating with the game. Yeah, like I like the city scale, like you guys have mentioned. Some of the tools where it's like you need these buildings. Like for example, I wanted to build casinos, and one of the early things they say is like, well, you should have hotels for your tourists to stay in, and I'm like, well, how do I build a hotel? And
Sleeper's very familiar with this problem.
yeah, and so like I was Google searching online and stuff, and basically I figured out like it's kind of out of your hands, it seems like. And that stuff like that's frustrating. Like why isn't that up front? Why don't I know like what do I need to do? How do I like here's a problem, here's how you solve this problem. That kind of the lack of that information is frustrating. But I will say like compared to other games that I've played, I really do appreciate just the streamlined kind of approach that they've taken with some of the things in this game to where it is kind of simple. It is a little weird because you've got this small city that's only got 50,000 people in it, which is not that big. Like I live in a town that's got like roughly 35 to 40,000 people in it, and like the scale of this town is massive compared to the population that's in it. Like you've got these giant skyscrapers and everything, and it's like that doesn't really seem appropriate for a town that's only got 50,000 people in it. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that I have fun with. Just it's like the whole micromanaging thing. I guess it's just like me kind of like being in control, more or less. And I think it's just really simple. I can sit down, kind of go to town, literally on it, and I guess I don't have to think too much, like I have in some other games in the past. That's kind of nice.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, you were talking about the casinos, though.
Sure.
That when they talk about you need to get hotels, and you were saying about micromanaging, there's literally no micromanagement in this game anymore. It's here, you can build a hotel, or you can build a casino, but you need to get hotels. How the hell do you build a hotel? You can look it up, but again, it's not even guaranteed that you're going to get a hotel just because you build the right zoning for it.
And that's a difference from past SimCity games because in past, like for instance, SimCity 2004, you could actually place down like high density residential or high density commercial, and it would build there. Instead in this, and like you said, Sleeper, that this is kind of and Zach, you both kind of mentioned Nail's point. Maybe I should have included this in the in the review, but yeah, you just kind of like, yeah, maybe a hotel will build there at some point.
Cross your fingers and hope that you get what you want. And if you're like me, you end up destroying your city almost every time because either it builds the right stuff, but you have nobody that goes there, or, it never pops up and all your guys go somewhere else.
Well, I do want to say one thing. I do want to clarify that when I was talking about wanting to basically have that, I enjoy being able to micromanage something. I don't necessarily mean, I guess, within the game, but it's like I enjoy sometimes real-time strategies, and I get so caught up into just like building my own base that I forget, oh crap, I gotta attack my opponent over here, like for instance in StarCraft. But with something like this, it's much more relaxed, much more chill, to where I'm not worrying about getting invaded by some foreign territory if I get too much tunnel vision. But yeah, I agree though for the most part what you were saying. And I think the other frustrating thing too with casinos is you start off like losing money, and you're obviously it's like, well, where do I hire the mafia to come in and run this? Because I should not be losing money with the casino when I first, when you first launch with it. I was talking about like I was losing tons of money, and that's where I started investigating, and I found out, well, hey, maybe your guests are going to want a place to sleep. And then, yeah, it's basically, let's hope that something will just happen there. organically. And I think that is the while that is frustrating, at the same time though, the fact that this city kind of develops organically, I think is cool because a lot of the towns that I've lived in throughout the course of my life, they really weren't planned all that well. And I can just imagine like, why did they stick this thing here? Why did they stick this thing here? Why did they build this road like this? And it's like, well, they probably couldn't foresee the problem that it was going to have
User in your
50
channel
years
stopped
down the road.
recording.
When they initially built this road or this building or things like that. And so I think that's kind of fun to a certain extent when you're playing SimCity, and early on you're like, I don't know how this is going to end up, but then you've got like all these crazy roads and things like that, and then next thing you know, you're like, well, how am I going to get a school in here? And I think that kind of creates some realistic challenges a lot of cities do face, probably in the world today. Like, how are they going to get this need into the city, because it's not something that's going to be an easy fix. Now, some people don't want that in a game, but it can also be refreshing, and I do appreciate that part of it.
Yeah, and I understand that, and that's why I was kind of conflicted in the interview there at the end, or not the interview, the review, was that just, I have to imagine that the people who aren't really the most hardcore of the hardcore SimCity fans will likely end up enjoying this game more than they actually hate it, and probably will enjoy it a lot, maybe even like 4 to maybe 5-star area. Consider, like, as long as they didn't have issues with server issues. So for me, I'm just left sort of thinking like, maybe the series just isn't for me anymore. I don't know if like a hardcore SimCity needs to come out, or if there's even future possibilities that it might appeal to me in the future as a product, because they're with these sim games, EA and Maxis kind of expect that they're going to constantly roll out new content, like new expansion packs and stuff like that, that will add new features to the game, and that's understandable, and that's perfectly fine. In fact, that was my issue with SimCity, or no, Sims 3, was that initial sort of pack was pretty barren in terms of content when you kind of looked at it from an overall past game standpoint. But now we're dealing with an entirely different beast, and I'm not entirely sure if it's just because I'm maybe needing more, or need to look at other games, maybe Tropico or other games that would provide that itch. But it doesn't seem like there's so many problems with this game that are self-imposed, that I just wonder why they're doing this thing. The always online thing is one thing. This sort of player agency thing where all the people in your city actually have a job and all that stuff, and kind of relaying that information is perfectly fine, except that it's apparently all BS, and it's just randomized according to people who looked into it.
Well, it seems like a complete crapshoot that they just ran with this game. I mean, first, I didn't hear that much of it to begin with, and all of a sudden it came out, and I'm like, oh shit, SimCity's already out. So I went and, picked it up, and it seems like they took a lot of the concepts, threw them up against the wall, and were checking what would stick.
Yeah, I don't really, I just don't even really know. As well as that, like, there's also the reviews portion of this. I don't know what ended up happening, because honestly, I have to imagine that at some point people would brush up against a lot of the issues that the game has in their 20 or so hour. In fact, I kind of feel like the more people play this game, the less they'll likely enjoy it from a long-term sense, because like Sonata said in chat while we're here live, it's like 3 to 4 hours of gameplay initially, where it's fun and enjoyable, and that's perfectly fine. But then once you get past that, it's like you're into this min-maxing, like, out of land mode, where you're starting to butt up against the problems of the way that this game was designed, with its like single lane highways and all these other things, traffic problems, and people bitching for absolutely no reason that you can explain.
Well, you could branch off to another region and build another city.
Yeah, and that's their solution for it, but it's not their solution for it, because at the end of the day, what they want you to do is they want you to actually play. They want you to actually play with friends instead of playing with other people, because you have to contribute towards this overall great work in your region, and you can only do that if you're actively playing that city at the time. So you're encouraged to play with other people. So then I just wonder who this game's for. Like, there's eventually going to be a point where it's just boring to sit there and wait for your friends to contribute.
That who just doesn't like playing with himself.
By the way, my airport still wasn't built. Just saying.
Any thoughts on this stuff, Jack? Before we wrap up this segment.
I kind of missed the Super Nintendo version of it, like the road problem, where you're just like, oh, I need more roads. Hold on, just let me paint lines of roads so it fixes the problem. You remember that, right? Where you just like make the road super fat. Yeah, and then like another
traffic
thing
didn't
is,
matter. It could be all backed up.
Matter at all. You could definitely deal with it. And then another thing that pisses me off on a new one, it's like you got this piece of land and you can't build all the way out because they have that stupid boundary, and that's it. That's as far as you can go out, and there's still like plenty of land there, but nope, can't use it.
Imagine if you could just like build outward and just kind of like connect the cities and make like a massive megapolis on that single region. That'd be freaking awesome. And like
your city should be able to link up to somebody else's city, not be predetermined with just like an open area with a restricted build area.
Zach, do you have something to add on this?
I just got a quick question for you guys. It's kind of interesting because when you look at a lot of games that are kind of sequels, I think the biggest complaint it seems like you hear in the media with games is people get frustrated that it's like, well, this feels like the same game all over again, just like with updated graphics. And you hear people always like trying to challenge companies to do something new or something different with a sequel in a game. And it's kind of interesting because it seems like they did that here. Like they tried something different, and I don't know if it's going to work out long term or not, but it's really interesting just to see the backlash that people are saying, like, this isn't my SimCity. This isn't what SimCity is to me. Like, why did you do this? And it's almost like people are mad because they did try to do something different. What do you guys think when it comes to games or developers making sequels? Do you want to see like a radical change? Do you want to see just a little bit of a change, or do you like to just see more of the same?
Well, did you see the video of the guy who actually modded it to be offline?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
It's SimCity, the way that we're all talking about it, except... Sorry, let me rephrase that. It's the way that we wanted SimCity to be, where you could actually build up to other cities and do highways and manipulate everything, and be offline, and it saves.
Yeah, and it's pretty weird why that limitation actually exists. I understand it. I mean, I back to like Zach's point about the sequelization stuff. I wonder. It's a reboot. That's how they've been building it up, and like Sleeper said, we kind of all wanted the SimCity that we wanted. We kind of expect a certain thing, and yes, it's important to kind of do new things, but it almost seemed like they wanted it both ways with SimCity. They wanted it to still have the name, the cachet, obviously, because they didn't want to change the name, but they still, they still did want to make it a reboot and do things entirely different. But I don't necessarily think that marketing message reached past the people who were paying attention to every single word that the people were saying, the marketing people, the PR people. Like it definitely didn't seem to be, as far as what I've seen online and on NeoGAF and a bunch of other boards, people talking about the game, and even just people in real life who are more casual based, SimCity players would enjoy that sort of core fundamental base that they actually enjoy. It's like the game that they play. It's like SimCity. It's like it's the game that they only play, when it comes out, and they don't play any other games type people,
I feel like if they would have approached this and just called the game SimCity Online, it would have changed everyone's outlook just initially, what to expect.
Absolutely.
Kind of like from Reddit.
What's that?
Yeah, that picture
was a Reddit
awesome.
post.
I haven't seen that post, but it just reminds me of like when The Sims Online came out. Like you have a whole different view of the way you're going to approach the game when you sit down to play it for the first time, or even when you're purchasing it. It's like it's for some just the
you're buying into
online.
a service, not a product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It lets you know, like, okay, I know in my mind this is going to be online. There's going to be issues, things like that. And then for some reason, it's easy for consumers to swallow that whenever there is a problem. That just to go, well, hopefully it'll get fixed in the future, or yeah, because like I play other games that are always online, like League of Legends, for instance. And some of the complaints, like some of the people that I follow on Twitter, it's like I have that same problem in League of Legends sometimes, and I just accept that. It's like, oh well, there's 20,000 people trying to log in right now. No wonder the queues are so high and all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of deal with it. But I kind of accept that because I know it's an online game heading into it. So,
But League of Legends is also entirely free, and you didn't have to spend, $60 on it.
no, but when I've spent like $150 on skins and stuff like that, it's not. There comes a point where it's like I've invested money into this game. I want to be able to have access to it.
You want a subscriber pass?
Yeah.
Something that gets
My
you up on
fast
the line.
pass access or something like that. I'd pay for that too.
I want to add to what Zach said about how, here SimCity doesn't say SimCity Online. Well, Diablo 3 came out, and when people found out you couldn't single player offline, that caused issues, and that game's been out for what, like a year plus now, and this company didn't go, hey, that didn't work for that company, and caused a lot of problems and lost a lot of money. That's avoid that. They just kind of like toss it over the shoulder. Oh, it's not going to happen. That's a different company. It won't happen with us.
No, they came out in multiple statements pre the SimCity thing and talked about how much they had learned from the Diablo 3 launch. So it's even better than that. Because I had like interview after interview talking about like, oh yeah, SimCity never going to go downline. It's never going to go offline. Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's going to be up all 24/7 from launch to get go.
Hell, imagine if they would have taken a little bit more time, called it SimCity Online, and then just
Exactly.
pretty much included The Sims Online. And then somehow rebranded both of those, combined them.
We were talking about that early on when the game first came out.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if you could like build the city and then live in it with your Sims, like all at the same time.
But the main thing that really pisses me off about that, though, is when that guy modded it and had all of the control that we would have wanted in a Sims, it seems like on release they just restricted almost everything and said, here's how it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just see how this ends up going. For the trouble, and you added this in there, Sleeper. Well,
you get a coupon!
Yeah, you're getting a coupon for all of our trouble.
I think it's March 18th. You get a free coupon. You get a coupon for a free game.
Yeah, let's just hope it's not like free to play cash in our free to play games or something like that.
Is that for anyone that purchased
Get Mass
the game?
Effect for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody who purchases the game, they get a free game.
Tell you what, if I can get SimCity and Tomb Raider for $60 total, which I did pay, I'll take it.
I don't know what the restrictions are going to be on that too. Like, if is it going to be like $20 or coupon, or is it going to be because they imply like full game. It seems like they imply like full game, like $50 retail thing. It's probably going to be limited to the games that they published. I have to imagine. I doubt that they would give people free games of anything in their library that's not from what they published.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Like I have to imagine that if it was anything other than a full entire other product, people would just riot.
Like Permastun said in chat, you get a free copy of The Sims.
Yeah. The funniest thing about it is I probably would use my coupon code for a expansion for The Sims.
Did you call it a coupon?
Yeah.
Is there a U in coupon at the beginning?
I say coupon.
Coupon.
Yep.
I think it's a Midwest thing.
Hell, I live in the Midwest.
I just say that for everything. Like if someone says, Zach, you do this weird, it's like, I think it's a Midwest thing.
So yeah, it's SimCity.
Ugh, no, we're moving on from the SimCity.
So
I'm tired of talking
hell,
about it. It's just fucking Dark Souls. Let's talk about Dark Souls for a little bit and how Sato has time on it, and then watching me stream it yesterday, which was hilarious.
Me needling you about tips and pro strategies to use in your first couple hours in the Dark Souls.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's you picked up the new game, Sleeper.
It's not really a new game.
Your initial thoughts on the difficulty of the game.
It is pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of strategy. Some of the controls are a little bit wonky because it is a console port over to PC. So my gripes are there because usually they're half-assed. And when the game says, highly recommended you use a controller, usually that just means, we just made it so it can run on computer, but you actually need a controller to be anywhere near as successful on the computer.
Yeah, the keyboard and mouse controls really don't work.
I didn't even look at it, just hooked up my PlayStation remote.
But difficulty-wise, what do you think? Is it as hard as people were billing it out to be? Is it a joke, like, or is it no joke, or what?
It's pretty difficult. Like I said, I had to keep going back, keep going back, keep going. Every time you died, you lost all your XP that you've had saved up to level up, and you start at the beginning of the last checkpoint, and then you have to go through and kill everything over again. So you just constantly build it up. It's like, imagine Trials, except Dark Souls. And imagine extreme difficulty Trials.
Yeah, Dark Souls, Super Meat Boy, and Trials are kind of like in the same league as far as I'm concerned. They're the same genre, even though they're not called the same genre.
Except in Dark Souls, you do lose everything. If you die twice, you lose all the XP that you worked on. Right, Sato? Watch out for that Drac. Never mind, I'm not gonna tell you. I lost so fucking much.
Yeah, that dragon. So, has anybody else ever played Dark Souls? Just real quick.
I haven't, but so I'm trying to understand the game because I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Is it one of those things to where so I know like people say you have to time your attacks, you got to time your blocks, all that kind of stuff. Is it one of those things to where you have an animation, and when they say you have to time your attacks, it's like you've got to go through this full animation process to actually land a hit? Or is it one of those things where it's just kind of like you have to hit a button combo in the right timing?
The animation all the way through to hit. And you can cancel out a part of the animation like near the end, but you can't cancel it as like mid swing. Like it's got a nice like system in there, and it's kind of hard to describe, without actually playing the game. But it's definitely it's one of those games that like once you learn the patterns of the bosses and understand like how the game works from a mechanic standpoint, you can literally just run through the game as like a level 1 and kill every single boss, and you can go through the game in like an hour and a half. Like you can beat the entire game in an hour and a half if you know what you're doing.
Hell, I spent an hour and a half killing 3 monsters.
Yeah, it rewards knowing how to play the game. It rewards multiple playthroughs, letting you kind of get an idea about how these mobs are going to function and attack you. So it's kind of like all throughout the game, you're kind of building up a sort of experience level from a controller standpoint and a fundamental sort of mechanic standpoint, that you're just getting better just based on playing the game. So it's unlike, I think, any other game out there, except for maybe Trials or, Super Meat Boy.
It actually kind of reminds me of a game that's getting ready to come out this week that I'm going to jump into for the first time, and that is the new Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate.
Yeah.
I've not played a lot of Monster Hunter, but it's coming out on the Wii U and the 3DS as well. And I actually have it reserved right now for both systems because they're doing something cool with the 3DS and the Wii U to where you can have your characters go back and forth. But I downloaded the demo recently and played it on the Wii U. And that was like my first Monster Hunter experience, and that's a game where it's all about you've got to go through these big crazy kind of animations whenever you're going to attack something, and you have to land that attack. So you've got to time like your attack to go through this full animation sequence and then finish so like the blow hits the guy. And it sounds like very similar to what you're saying with the bosses and the villains in this game. It's all learning what their tells are whenever they show their tell, like crap, I gotta get out of the way, or he's about to do this or whatnot, and dodging it, and then knowing when like you want to go in and land as many attacks as possible. So it seemed like it's going to be that kind of a game, or from what I've read up on.
I gotta tell you, I've rated a lot in past MMORPGs and done that quite a lot in the past, from EverQuest on. And as far as I'm concerned, I have yet to kind of experience a raid as difficult as some of the bosses in this game, and kind of doing that sort of figuring out the tells, staying away from fire, don't stay in the fire. If you stay in the fire, or you're in an area at the time when the boss is about to hit, you're dead, and you have to do the entire thing over again. So it's kind of just memorization of patterns and all that stuff, and trying to figure out new ways of attacking when the right time is to kind of put in damage or lead the battlefield and heal. So it's definitely not. It's similar to raiding, but it doesn't seem like I've ever had any raid boss as difficult as anything in this game.
And I don't know if you could have something that difficult when you're talking about trying to manage that with like 20 other players. I mean, you might,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like there are so many other factors that come in. You just, when you have boss design in an MMO, it's going to be limited just because of like the features that you mentioned that make this game really unique. It just that extra difficulty is ridiculous when you're just trying to manage 20 people on a to coordinate, or 25 people or whatever it is nowadays. Because I mean, I remember back when it was like 40-man raids and WoW and stuff like that. And at first, it was like, how on earth are we going to get everyone just to get to this one spot? And that's all you have to do. And if you get to this one spot, everything will be fine. And when it's just you by yourself, then it opens up so many new creates so many new opportunities where it's like, okay, we're going to assume the player is smart enough to go to this area. Now let's add all these extra things that they have to do on top of that.
Yep. Yeah, I remember specifically, like Razorgore, the Untamed in Blackwing Lair in World of Warcraft. Like that was sort of like the churn point of trying to figure out if your guild was on time, because you would have to go around in a massive circle if you were, for instance, on Horde, and place down a bunch of totems that would slow the Earthbind totems, and then run around in a massive circle and attack a single point, like single mobs, while you burnt them down. The tank would hold the place down for the aggro. So you would just run around in a massive circle, but you would also have to constantly be changing targets and focusing down people as you were constantly moving around in a massive circle, and then would have to avoid cleaves and some other stuff. It was that was probably as difficult as I've ever seen a boss get in World of Warcraft, even until some the recent stuff. And it's just kind of crazy to kind of think about on that end. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but from an individual standpoint, you kind of do still less, because you kind of can spread around a lot of that. That there's a lot of gap there for people that could be bad, and the good people can make up for a lot of those bad.
Yeah, should have seen the Firelands fucking bosses pre-nerf. When we got you all that nice purdy gear and.
Mm-hmm. You still have problems about that, apparently, yeah.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed, right, Ghost?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you're going to be playing more of this, right, Sleeper? You're not going to stop?
Probably. Yeah, I was actually playing it this morning before we started playing Trouble in Terrorist Town, which is hilarious.
Which you should stream at some point, because
I think we might do that tonight. Funny. I don't know. I've been playing for a long time today, but I still want to play it. Yeah. Between that and Dark Souls now. And also I bought Train Simulator 2013 earlier, so.
Oh my god.
I bought it. It was on sale.
Shaking my head.
Train Simulator 2013. See, look at that. Everyone else wants to see it.
The company that makes nothing but simulators. Let's go ahead and move on. Dark Souls 2 was announced at the VGAs in retrospect. What do you want them to do with this game for a new sequel? Is there anything like that you currently see, Sleeper, that you want to see them do for a new game?
Keep it difficult. Don't fall into the casual, simple crowd.
More multiplayer.
They've been talking about, one of the lead designers has been talking about making it harder than it currently is.
And perhaps we can fix some of the voiceovers. Yeah. And make them seem like somebody reading a piece of paper reads it a little bit better.
Yeah, some of those voices.
That's one of the things that seriously irritates me in that game. I want to read or listen to what they're saying, but the voiceovers are so awful.
The dragon came down and was Avatar. The dragon. It's kind of like that, right?
Kinda. What do you want out of? Oh, that guy? Yeah. All right, now I know what he's talking about.
That's a Dark Souls reference, yeah.
Yeah, those probably no one gets it but Sato or me. Yeah, what do you want to see out of it?
I think you could pretty much say that about Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It's just...
In general?
Yeah, in general.
Yeah, I would say the controller stuff, I know you have an issue with it. I think it's pretty much as good as it can be. But maybe adding some more more things to it, maybe some more abilities or things that you can actually do. Maybe making the sorcery or archery a little bit more, good, because the way it is currently, it's not something that you can actively use as a primary weapon. So I'd maybe like to see some progress in that area, so that it doesn't have to be strictly a melee game for me.
Yeah.
That and a better PC port. That I think you can agree with.
Which I think right now we're in the day and age that porting over to PC is not the most difficult thing to do anymore.
Especially for next gen, because it's all going to be PCs basically.
Yeah. But
so I guess
let's talk about something that I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to. StarCraft 2: Heart of the Swarm is out this week.
That was sarcasm.
That wasn't sarcasm.
What?
It was.
No, it wasn't. You guys can't even tell my sarcastic remarks anymore.
Is this the podcast to pick on me, with games I've never played?
Yeah, you've never played StarCraft. I have no idea why you've never played StarCraft.
You're gonna have plenty of time to talk here in a second.
Oh yeah,
because this segment's gonna last 0 second.
Right.
So sleeper.
Yeah, my segment. Don't take it over for me.
I'm not.
You are. Yeah,
I'm pointing it back to you.
Better stop it.
I passed the potato.
Do you have any
hot
interest?
Potatoes in your hand. Hot potatoes in your hand. You should go.
Do you have any interest in getting Heart of the Swarm? Because me personally, I don't like the fact that Blizzard is making me buy 3 different copies of the game to experience the story. So it's a 6, 12, 8. That's $180 to experience 3 campaigns.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nothing new though. Expansions have been around forever, and they basically require you to have the original version of the game. I mean, when you look at
it's not an expansion though.
Whatever. It is an expansion. I mean,
no, it's not. That's the thing. It's not an expansion. It's a full-blown new game that's going to run you twice as much as an expansion costs.
I would say, I think maybe Sleeper has a point in the aspect that, yes, it's going to cost you, just as much as a full game. So, expansions in the past, we kind of had this sort of built-up thing that, it's an expansion that requires SC2. Yes, it's an expansion in the strictest form, but it's not as far as what we've think about expansions. I could foresee maybe paying $30 or maybe even 40 for it, as an expansion. But for a full product, I mean, it kind of, I don't know. There's an expectation there because they're not really doing a lot, and we'll get into this in a second, but they're not really doing a lot with the multiplayer stuff. In the single player stuff, as far as we can see from reviews and other places out there, has been kind of lukewarm. It's kind of all over the place. So it just seems like it's kind of mediocre as far as the single player stuff is concerned and what they do in there. So if the single player stuff isn't driving it, then at best it's just an update to the multiplayer experience,
which could be easily doled out in an update. But go ahead, Zach.
Okay, so it's only
HOTS
$40
is 40.
first
Yeah.
off.
So,
which
ignorant.
is,
yeah.
I mean, when I compare that to older PC games, you would pay $50 for a retail copy of the game, and then most of the time they would, whether it's an expansion, but then they would also release standalone expansions for certain games as well, which were normally $30. I don't have as big of a deal paying $40 for an expansion for me, especially if I'm into something. Now, StarCraft, I'm kind of down on Blizzard products right now just because of the whole Diablo 3 thing. I was kind of irritated that I logged in one day to check play my game, and I found out somehow my account had gotten hacked and all of my money and my items were missing. I'm like, great, this is what I get for my single player experience. I didn't want that. But anyways, that's beside the point right now because we're talking about StarCraft 2. So I'm kind of a little bit down. I'm not too excited on it because of that. But that being said, I think this is kind of interesting. I don't have that big of an issue with paying $40 for this added content because, I mean, I don't know how long the campaign is. Is it only a few hours? Is it because they made it sound like it's a full blown, campaign equivalent to what was in the Wings of Liberty. And if that's the case, that's awesome. I think that's great. I mean, $40, double your content. Depends on if you want the multiplayer stuff or not. But me personally, I enjoy the story, and that's what I would look forward to if I was going to purchase this.
Yeah, that's the sole purpose of it.
I had an epiphany. I think I'll get Heart of the Swarm. It's only $40, not $60.
Yeah, I was saying this. That seemed we got corrected live on the live stream. Yeah, since it's $40, maybe I don't know. Maybe I will. To be honest, it's a lot more appetizing. I thought for a second there it was 60 for some reason, so I'm completely wrong on that end. So maybe $40, maybe. But I will say that I am a little disappointed that the single player aspect, at least from what reviews are saying, is a little bit less than stellar.
I usually just buy the StarCraft games to watch the cinematics.
Yeah, I can like sit there and just jizz on the cinematics, and that can be enough for me, right?
And the first person to come up with a semen reference for every podcast or stream is Sato.
Yep.
What the heck?
For semen. Should we go back to that? No.
No, please don't.
Okay. All right.
Ghost, hey Ghost. Or actually, Zach, did you want to say anything about that?
About semen? No.
No,
I'm good.
no, not. Anyhow, Ghost wants to cover this next segment a little bit, I think. I don't know, it's some little obscure thing nobody knows about. Go ahead, Ghost, have fun.
Well, I'm a little confused as to why we're talking about it now, considering the fact that the trailer for this came out like last year.
Well, we talked about it on the first
we're talking
podcast.
about the interview. We're talking about the interview that came out this week.
Okay. Well, when did they first release this trailer? And I'll get to what it is, but do you guys remember?
That was VGAs? Yeah, that was VGAs.
Yeah. So the last VGAs, whenever those were, there's a trailer for a game labeled Phantom Pain, and it was under the developer Moby Dick Studio, and it's a Metal Gear game. And if you go to the Moby Dick Studio website, it says it's founded by CEO Joachim Mogren, and Joachim is a anagram for Kojima. So it's a Metal Gear game. Have we agreed that it's separate from Ground Zeroes, or no?
I don't know. I don't think anybody's actually confirmed that yet. But in this CG sort of quote unquote CG interview, Jeff Keighley sits across from this Joachim Mogren and talks to the camera, and people on NeoGAF think it's in CG. Is a big thing. It's in the Fox engine apparently.
Yeah, so the engine this is running on is the Fox engine. I haven't even seen this interview yet, so you're gonna have to talk about it because I
okay.
Somebody didn't do their research.
But yeah, so CG. I didn't put a source on it, so I'm an asshole. So it's my fault. But yeah, so people think it's a CG interview. Like the guy's sitting there, and it's actually an engine. That's why he's got the face wraps to make it look more real, or at least that's what people are thinking, and on NeoGAF specifically. But it's officially been confirmed as Fox engine. There were some concept art shown during this interview. Nothing more than that, just concept art, and then it was revealed in one of the concept art pieces that it was running under the Fox engine. There was a Fox engine logo. So it officially confirms that, yes, definitely a Metal Gear game. Seriously, it's a Metal Gear game. Who doesn't think it's a Metal Gear game? Oh, well.
I think it's going to be a new IP.
Yeah. But, yeah.
But yeah, it was fun seeing, NeoGAF sort of, do detective and, run through, artifact, inspection on the facial animation to see if it was real or fake, and looking for folds on wrinkles and stuff.
That's the thing I love about Hideo Kojima is he knows how to I don't know, get his fans to look into stuff, and he's always sort of doing stuff like this in all his games and little Easter eggs and stuff like this, even in the trailers.
Yeah. One thing is for sure though that the interview was recorded separately, and then Jeff Keighley just talks to the camera and then he responds, and it's kind of in a different location. So it's really weird. It's a really weird interview. You should watch it, Ghost, if you have a chance. But yeah.
I actually Googled it and I still couldn't find it. So.
But yeah, I guess we'll find out when they finally decide to talk about how Snake got beat up in a bar fight and is now in a hospital with a burning beluga whale at some point during GDC in 2 weeks.
Sounds great. I'm hoping. Well, I wonder if they're going to be at PAX East, because I'm going to be there next weekend.
Probably not. I don't see him going to any PAX events for actually big releases. We might see it at E3.
It seems like GDC is the big event to go to
or GDC.
Right now. Because we're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but yeah, everybody's rolling out all the stops for GDC. It seems like they got the the new Metal Gear game coming out, being talked about at least in GDC, and then they got Battlefield stuff being talked about at GDC, which we'll get into later. But yeah, GDC is a big thing apparently. There's a bunch of others as well.
Like Saints Row 4?
Yeah, Saints Row 4 is a thing. It's something I really care about. I really do actually care about Saints Row 4. If you don't know, the Saints Row developer was kind of in limbo. People were trying to guess where it would go. It eventually got picked up by Deep Silver, the guys who did the Dead Island series. Also, Koch Media, I think, owns the Metro, the new Metro game. I can't remember what the year data is on that title, so I forgot. Sorry. Last Light, I think it is. But yeah, it's that one's also been picked up as well. But yeah, new Saints Row 4 trailers out. Glad to see it survive. Anybody? I am really.
Do you feel like this is actually like it's going to be a true standalone game, or do you think this could have been like potential expansion pack type stuff? Because didn't they have like a
they had an
Saints Row
expansion
3?
pack that got canned during that transition, and it kind of seems like this expansion pack may have been turned into a full game. Maybe that's a speculation.
That'd be a little concerning.
Yeah.
It does say Saints Row 4 at the end of the trailer, though, so they're making it a full game, whether or not it's.
Yeah, but regardless of that, we're getting a new Saints Row game, and if even if the like Saints Row 4 is just like the middle stepchild of the series that they kind of transition into actually having a publisher again.
I think you got to be excited about this if you're a Saints Row fan, just because, for me personally, like in that whole THQ fiasco, like I love Relic games, and so I'm in the back of my mind, I'm just like waiting to figure out what's going on now with them since Sega purchased them and all that, and it's just like, when is something going to get announced for them? So like, if you're a fan of the series, this has got to be great news for you, just because your game's in development again. There's a studio working on it, and this is progress. It's not going to be one of these things that's just kind of sitting off somewhere that everyone knows about but no one's talking about, and years of speculations going by. It's kind of nice to see them put something out like a month or two after they purchased it, saying like, by the way guys, we're still continuing the series, it's going to come out soon. It should ease everyone's fears. So
yeah, Ghost and I actually never finished the game either. Saints Row 3.
That was one of the first games we
Saints Row
started
3.
streaming together. Multiplayer.
Love Saints Row 3.
It seems to me that Saints Row in general is a game that didn't get the credit it deserved. Because what Ghost and I played as Saints Row 3 was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it came out in 2011, and I remember specifically, it was like at the end of my time in South Florida. I was about to move in February. It was right up against that time where I just needed an outlet to kind of play something, because I was going to be leaving my family. I was kind of in a weird state at that time, and man, that game was fucking awesome. Like I really, really loved that game. There was a point in that game, like near the end point, where everything just sort of clicked. It was just like nonstop badassery. Like it was full, like, on 10 or 11 the entire time. It was freaking great. I love that game. The Decker's Die section is amazing. Really should see it, even if you're not planning on playing it. Should at least look that up. Really, it's a fantastic game, and it's unfortunate that it kind of suffers from a kind of slow start in the beginning. It takes a little bit a while to kind of get going, but once you get into it, Saints Row the Third is an amazing game, and in fact, I thought it was my game of the year for 2011.
I will say one thing: the new Grand Theft Auto coming out is really, really going to have their hands full with just putting out a new game that's basically the type of game we call these, like, what, sandbox games, open world sandbox.
Yeah, open world sandbox.
I mean, the genre has changed, in my opinion, so much because of games like Saints Row, Sleeping Dogs that came out last year. I was a huge fan of that game. There's just so much that's because of franchises like these that have changed the way those games work, that I'm kind of almost in the back of my mind just somewhat skeptical of the new Rockstar Grand Theft Auto, just because I I don't know. Like I've watched videos. I've not played Saints Row 3, but I've watched some videos, and there's some of the stuff going on with like the hand-to-hand combat in that, like the different crazy amounts of outfits that you can wear, um, the moves where you can take down people off their motorcycles and stuff like that. It's like I could see myself having just hours of fun just doing that kind of stuff over and over again. Just really immature, childish type, you know, fun, I guess you'd say, which is good to have on occasion. So,
So
But you can't have
let's
fun in video
qualify this.
games.
Hold on, let's contrast this. Okay, so let me just kind of describe the trailer for people who haven't seen it. So apparently the story is you become the president of the United States. Aliens have taken over and put the Saints in the virtual reality construct, and the Saints have a hot dog suit, and there's a guitar rocket launcher and a ray beam gun that causes people's heads to get large and go all buggy-eyed. There's also some jetpacks and some kind of mecha suit, and likely a dildo somewhere in the trailer that I just wasn't able to see. But they also give people superpowers as well. Like, so it's just going like full on, like 10 plus. It seems like, in comparison, if you contrast that with like GTA, it's like
it's combining
Saints
like
Row,
Infamous and
Saints Row just gives you empowerment, and GTA kind of tries to make it a small scale to kind of make it more realistic. And I kind of care for the Saints Row stuff more than that.
Yeah.
Than it just being realistic.
Well, the realistic goes to, I mean, as realistic's probably going to go when you're talking about these type of games. Grand Theft Auto retains the more realistic, while when I play Saints Row, I'm looking for the goofy, off-the-wall crap. Keep it there.
Yeah. But I just, if I had to think about like one thing that I prefer, or one game that I prefer over the other, I think I'd prefer the kind of empowerment sort of fantasy of Saints Row Saints Row 4. Yeah, I was going to call it Saints Row the 4th there for a second because of their last title. But yeah, I think I prefer the empowerment kind of mentality of a Saints Row more than a GTA. And kind of in the scope of this, speaking on, like you were talking about Zach as well, that this game's coming out in August, a month before GTA. Maybe it's a little bit poorly timed because GTA is kind of like the elephant in the room. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with the fact that I think GTA is a bigger game than Saints Row, as far as like how much it actually sells. That's just kind of undeniable at this point. But I kind of wonder if it's maybe being sent out to die, against all these other games. There's GTA, there's Last of Us, there's Beyond Two Souls, there's Saints Row the 4th, and then there's a bunch of others as well that are coming out before the end of the year, before the new consoles come out in like December or January. So there's going to be a lot of there's not a lot of window there to kind of have for spendable dollars in the consumer's end. It seems like they're kind of overloading it.
There's a lot of things going on in that time, because I mean, you're going to have a huge game dump where people are working on stuff for this generation that they want to get out of the way before the new consoles come out and stuff like that. So that's going on in one area, but I actually think that's kind of smart potentially of them to release this before Grand Theft Auto. And the reason I say that is if this game gets out there, if it's kind of, even if it is more of the same, but it's good, and people are talking about that, because I feel like Saints Row Saints Row the 3rd has built up a lot of steam in the past year since it's been released. And it's got a really good following to the point where this comes out, all those fans start flooding the internet, talking about this and everything. And then a couple of weeks later, the new Grand Theft Auto comes out. People grab that, and they just come off the heels of playing Saints Row 4, and they're like, you know what? I don't really like Grand Theft Auto as much as I thought I did. And then what everyone potentially is going to remember later on down the road is when the next ones on the future generation of consoles, when those games come out, they might gravitate towards Saints Row before they would Grand Theft Auto. And it gives them a chance to really take a swing at Rockstar and say, like, we're going to basically make a move right here to make this franchise really mean something and be a significant player in the open sandbox world. And like, this would be their best opportunity to do that. But if they release that post Grand Theft Auto, it could get lost easily in the shuffle, because somebody will go, well, you know what? I bought Grand Theft Auto. I've already got that game. That's like a 100-hour game or 50-hour game. I'm not going to put money in this. I'm going to get something else. So it'll be interesting to see if that works out for them.
Yeah, once the like Grand Theft Auto marketing blitz starts happening, because they're going to do this a couple of months before leading up until the release of the game. Am I the only one that kind of feels like it's going to be the marketing dollars of Rockstar? I think are going to be far superior than Saints Row. I think they're going to get most of the airtime. So honestly, I kind of think that it's almost like a disabled kid in a wheelchair that's being tipped over a cliff because of the marketing dollars that they're going to pour into GTA versus Saints Row. I'm just worried that it's not like even leading up until launch that they're like people are going to end up waiting for the other sandbox game instead of spending their dollars on a game like Saints Row.
Yeah.
It's like, oh look, this disabled kid just got a wheelchair and he's able to go and do things now. Okay, here comes GTA, the big semi truck. I don't know.
Well, like how big? Who is Koch Media? Like how big are they? Are they at all related to like the Koch brothers? Because
no, it's
okay.
different. No.
I was gonna say how much it all. I guess is just how much money do they have that they're willing to throw. I guess into this.
I don't know.
Is what it comes down to. I don't know anything about them, so.
Sleeper, Jack, Ghost, either one of you guys have anything else that you want to comment on this?
Grand Theft Auto will sell out. Saints Row will remain being a game that does not get the credit it deserves. It'll be a great game again. But if they're actually converting an expansion to a full game, be worried.
I think Rockstar will blow it out of the water with all their advertisement and stuff, and people won't notice it as much.
They just got more budget, and they're not, everyone knows who Rockstar is.
Yeah, and they got energy drinks.
What? Is that really? No, shut up. You just make me stupid. God damn it. Why did that even register?
I'm sorry.
Ghost.
I haven't played Grand Theft Auto since San Andreas. But honestly, I don't think I'll be playing either Saints Row 4 or Grand Theft Auto 5. I just didn't like I haven't liked Grand Theft Auto in a while just because I hate driving around for 10 hours and listening to some like foreign guy talk.
And yet you play Trials.
I'd rather be able to call down a jet and just race across the
the
sky.
That's kind of why I like Saints Row better, but I don't know. I feel like Grand Theft Auto and all these other games are sort of going to go to the wayside once Watch Dogs comes out, because that feels so like Grand Theft Auto to me, like the open world city type game is. I feel like that's going to be my my game.
That's cool.
Did you guys play Sleeping Dogs?
I wanted to play it. I thought about picking it up when it was discounted on Steam, but I just didn't. So. Oh
man, that game is so much fun.
Yeah, I've been hearing about it.
It's gorgeous on PC too. Like they've got a high-res texture package and everything that you can grab. Yeah, you should check that out. I'm sure it'll go on sale eventually.
Yeah, it's been going on sale here and there. It's been on sale a couple times for the last 2 or 3 months. But yeah, I've been thinking about it. It got down to like $7, and I really debated it.
We're going way off the damn rails.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Seriously.
Go ahead, segue us, because you actually care about this.
Actually, what I care about more when we're talking about Rockstar is I want to see another Red Dead Redemption. Another Red Dead game.
Yeah, man. I really want another Red Dead game.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
but
going back to that game recently, those environments still fucking amazing.
Yeah. You can only get what they give you. Grand Theft Auto will have to do for now. But one of the other things that I'm really excited for is Borderlands 2 DLC. And the fact that they've now shown a quick little trailer about they're coming out with another character. Which we did have a link in the notes, which will probably come up as well. Is anyone going to be picking up the DLC? I don't know if it's going to be number 4 if you have the season pass. Which we already got 3 out of the 4. I don't think it's going to be a part of the 4th DLC. But
yeah, we'll see.
How many of us have Borderlands 2 here?
I have it. I never played the Necromancer DLC though. I don't think I've played any of the DLC for Borderlands 2.
Yeah, I played some with you, Sleeper, with the expansions that they had.
Yeah, you and I both did get the season pass.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, as long as if this thing is like free, just as part of that pack that they're giving, as long as it's part of the pass, I think I'll be fine with it. Check it out. But I don't know. Maybe something about me just kind of wants to stick to a single character. But I don't think I really care too much about new additional characters or classes in the game personally.
Well, the more I
But
think
some
about
people
it,
like it.
the more I think about it, the Necromancer wasn't actually released as a part of a DLC. I think that was just released as just a character purchase. So hopefully that'll probably end up being what this new character is, which, if you haven't seen it, it looks like a... What?
Was it? I thought... I don't know if it's... anyways, chat will probably correct us either
I don't
way.
know. But what do you think the new character is going to be? It kind of looks like a cyborg.
It's a burly guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to see. Obviously, this is being recorded off of a blackboard, and it's kind of hard to actually discern. I don't know if they have a full video yet. I don't think they have a direct source video, but yeah, it's do we really need another burly character? We have one. We have a burly character already.
Don't even say Salvador.
Salvador.
The
he's
dude
burly.
is so tiny. That's one thing whenever we were all playing together, I did not
He's
know
so
he was
tiny.
that small until you guys kept saying how small he was.
I'm making a prediction. I think it's gonna be a girl, just to be funny. I think it'll be
Prediction!
funnier that way. Because they already had Tank in the last game. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be another big burly guy. But if it was a really big burly girl, that would be funny.
Looks
That would
like
be
somebody's
funny.
getting a new character to play. Bionic Bertha.
What's the big girl's name in Borderlands 2? The person that you get missions from? Oh, I can't remember it.
Oh, yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
but
I know
just
exactly who you're talking about.
Wasn't that Ellie or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Ellie.
yeah.
Ellie. Yeah.
That chick was hilarious.
She's been mutated into a burly character, and you play as her. Although that would be weird for
She's definitely
story
slimmed
reason.
down if that's the case.
yeah.
Yeah, so we just had a quick thing on Borderlands 2 because I know probably a lot of us have it as well. Or
So,
a lot of the viewers have it.
I know you care about this, Sleeper. I think you're the only one currently that's really craving this,
Yes! Yes, I will be buying it.
but BioShock Infinite is coming out in 2 weeks.
Oh,
Apparently.
dude, you're not alone.
I'm so excited.
I am pumped as well.
I don't know why, dude. I mean, Bioshock 1 was so much damn fun.
I know.
I mean, the atmosphere, the music.
The
I think
story?
that's... Yeah, the story. That's what all brought it together. Now, granted, Bioshock 2 wasn't as good as Bioshock 1.
Wasn't
But
about the
you
same
still had... You still had a good feel for the environments.
Yeah.
And then I believe Bioshock Infinite is back to the original developers.
Yep. Minerva's Den on BioShock 2 was actually pretty good, but the game itself, yeah, was pretty less than stellar.
Yeah.
But Minerva's Den
man.
was good.
I'm so excited. It's coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm going
this is one of
to.
those games I've intentionally avoided anything on just because I saw, okay, Rational Games making this, check, that's good. It's a new Bioshock game. It's like in the past, but it's like in the sky. It revolves around the United States. Like, this sounds awesome. I don't know how this is going to play out. So I basically have avoided everything leading up to this. I don't know what I'm going to get when the game comes out. I do this with very few games. Like, a lot of games I'll read up on and stuff like that. But because Bioshock was so well done and so, like, it was just executed perfectly, in my opinion. I hope I get that same experience again. Just like a fantastic story, a wonderful universe and a setting, I should say, that the game takes place in, and it looks like there's so much potential here for
Yeah,
it.
see, I'm doing the same thing. I'm not going out actively seeking information. Because whenever I do that, I overhype it, and when I play it, I'm like, wow, this is crap.
Yeah, you build up expectations, and
Like, I'll watch the trailers, that's it. And from what I see on the trailers, the coloring and the atmosphere again, it looks like it's going to be amazing. Kind of like The Last of Us.
Yeah, it's both of those games really look fantastic, and I'm excited to maybe pick it up. But for me, job's got to come first before I spend any more money.
Yeah, I'm going to PAX East next week, and they're having a a panel, and I'm going with a few people who are really big BioShock fans. So I'll probably end up going to the BioShock Infinite panel.
Yeah, Rational Games is based out of Boston, so I'm sure they'll probably like own that conference. They should if they're smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I'm kind of waiting on reviews, I think, for that one, and just kind of play how it actually ends up going. See if there are any discounts, in the first couple months, because with single player games like that, they tend to not really keep their value as well.
Yeah, like SimCity. There's one game that I did not follow. I bought it, and
neither did I. Dropped
and I
off
learned my
pretty
lesson.
well. Yeah.
I think we all did, because I saw a brief preview of it. I was like, oh, cool, they're making a new SimCity. And then Say I Don't Sleep or playing SimCity. And then I bought it, and you were like, did you actually buy it? I'm like, yeah, screw it. Like, it's got online play.
I was surprised that Sleeper even bought it. I was like, man, you should give me some time to play this game so I can tell you.
Well, I put out a Twitter message, and nobody responded, so I went, screw it, I'm going to buy it.
I know.
So, who wants to cover the very large next topic? And by very large, I mean quite possibly depressing story.
Do you know anything about the story, Zach? You want to cover it?
I can't. I don't know why this is depressing. I've heard nothing but good things about this.
I think he's looking at the wrong one.
Oh, I am looking at the wrong. I'm looking at Mass Effect 3 Citadel. I'm like, I've heard this is fantastic. Why is this?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So I'll just go ahead and take it. Star Wars First Assault and Star Wars 1313. Both of those games look fantastic. In fact, that leak for First Assault looks great. It's basically a return to Battlefront, which we all kind of enjoyed and loved.
What?
When it first came out. Yep.
I haven't even heard anything about this.
It's on the Battlefield 3 engine.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are they combining space and ground battles yet?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't get too excited. Whoa, I wouldn't get too excited.
Oh.
Wait, are you serious? I've never even heard of First Assault.
Here's the great, because it was going to be debuted at E3 or future show, and the reason why leaks came out is because both are now indefinitely delayed.
Oh,
hooray, Disney!
Hooray, the mouse!
You got me all excited.
Got you all tingly inside just to rip out.
And then you just killed me inside. Why did you do that, Sato?
Yeah, no, and Clone Wars cartoons also canceled as well.
Looks like we need to stop these productions to add more Kingdom Hearts.
I'm tearing up a little
got
bit.
that right.
I wonder if it was the same reason for the other one with the Clone Wars stuff, where they were just looking to kind of ease some of the costs off their initial buy and get out the new movie out and actually get some sales for that new movie.
Wait, so did they cancel the series? Because I knew they were it was like for sure.
Clone Wars is canceled entirely.
Wow.
It's done. Like it'll be done after this next arc, and that's it.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it won't be returning. And Detours is also, I don't know if you guys remember that really awesome Star Wars thing. It's also canceled as well, or delayed, I should say. Not canceled on that end, but yeah, man. Clone Wars canceled, Detours delayed, Star Wars First Assault and 1313 both indefinitely delayed.
1313 looked awesome.
It looked awesome, and I will agree with that. From people that were talking about some of the leaks, it seemed like it was in development hell. From all things were considered, like the demo looked great, but the actual game was less than good. It was not really going very well.
Well,
Disney,
that's what
rumor was.
Disney is basically, they have kind of like failed on a lot of video game projects in the past year or so, and I wouldn't be surprised too if some of this is just they don't want to continue to go down that hole. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, because what was it, Epic Mickey 2? That was like a massive failure, wasn't, from what I understand, and I guess they were expecting that to have crazy amount of sales, and it didn't. And the reason why that game didn't sell is because it was running poorly on pretty much every console.
It was awful. It was an awful game. That's why.
It was. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, in a way, this is kind of good, potentially. Like, if you're a fan of this series, you want to see that they're working on this stuff, but at the same time, you don't want to see something just get pooped out there that's crap. Because I mean, like, we all want the next Battlefront game, but at the same time, like, I don't want a version that's gonna suck. So I'm happy to see, like, if it's gonna get delayed, as long as it's gonna get fixed. But at the same time, like, it's gonna be depressing if it's just them saying, you know what, we're getting out of the video games industry. We kind of suck at that, and yeah, we're just gonna leave that alone.
We're blowing all of our budget on episode 7.
Yep.
Or we're saving up to buy EA.
Ooh.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Disney
Yeah,
buys
disgusting.
EA. This could get great.
That
So,
Harrison
Jack-
Ford budget.
I know you're leaving here pretty soon, and I know that you're maybe not going to have the ability to have a lot of time with it until you get back. But Battlefield 3 Endgame, you've been the one that's been playing it for a long time so far. I think you're the only one currently playing it. But
Yeah,
how is it?
premium.
What do you think?
People are upset because they didn't add new guns, but there's so many guns in that game regardless. You have enough to choose from. The capture the flag, they put like all new capture flag maps. That's what Endgame is. It's like these linear maps, but there's so much fun. There's so much stuff going on. The vehicles spawn fluidly. You can have like your assault team, your base team. That's just the capture the flag maps. They're awesome. I love them. I have so much fun. I can just hop in there and like play for hours and have fun.
There's also
And
the
then-
inclusion of the motorcycles, right, Jack?
I heard the
Yes.
dirt bikes were awesome.
Yes, the motorcycles are fun. You can have a driver and you can have a guy on the back. It's hard to hit these things. Like if you're squirrely and like you can just go and like start picking people off on the motorcycle, and it's hard to hit them. It's hard to follow them because they haul ass. They're probably the fastest vehicle in the game.
Can you do some stunts like in Trials?
I've seen GIFs. I've seen GIFs out there specifically where
Gifts.
yeah, GIFs. It's GIF. I've seen GIFs out
Oh
there.
my god! Don't get me
that
started.
where if the server is like non-friendly fire, they actually will put down the C4 like on a ramp, and then the motorcycle will go over it and they'll blow it up, and then it'll fly like across the map. It seems pretty awesome.
And then they had just all air combat mode. Like you spawn in a jet, and it's just like chaotic air battle league.
It's like 1943.
Yeah, it's just you just spawn nothing but jets and stuff. It's crazy. I was in a game. This is funny. I was like, let me try my keyboard. Let me get back with the 360. And like someone's like, I don't know what to use, my keyboard or the 360 remote. It was funny because I was doing the same thing too. Because I didn't know the buttons, and I was like ejecting, doing stupid stuff. I'm like, wow, I just got into the plane and ejected.
So it's good though. Like overall, it's a good product. Do you think?
Yeah, overall, like all the expansions that came out for Battlefield 3, I liked them all. They were all unique in their way. They weren't like, oh, here's like for Call of Duty, for instance, it was like, here's a new map. Battlefield actually put environmental changes into it. Just everything was different with their expansions. Not one was the same after the other, which is really cool.
Well, this is all leading up to, and I kind of wonder, do you feel like you guys got your money's worth out of your premium? I think Jack, Ghost, and Sleeper. I don't know about you, Zach, but I'm pretty sure we've all purchased premium.
Premium what? Battlefield?
Yeah.
No, I did not purchase premium.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I just got the limited edition.
Same.
Jack and Go. Oh, okay. So it's just me and Jack.
I know my brother
I just-
got premium.
Bought the standard game.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it.
So it's just me and Jack. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think a big problem with that was I was going to get it, but that was kind of in the transitional period of when companies were actually starting to come out with premium passes. You know, Borderlands 2 did it, Battlefield's now doing it, Call of Duty's doing it. I think it's basically their way of assuring you that, here, we're telling you you're going to get 4 DLC within 6 months. That way you know that there's going to be DLC coming up. Instead of you buying a $60 game and it goes, don't worry, we're working on some DLC. And then, 6 months go by and you don't hear anything and I quit the game.
Somebody
On
should
the
tell
flip
that
side of
to
that argument-
Aliens Colonial Marines in their season pass.
Yeah, but on the flip side
Beat
of
a
that
dead
as
horse.
well, like the reason why I don't get season passes or premium or anything like that is just because I don't want to give somebody my money that isn't. Those aren't refundable. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like I don't want to give someone $30 and just hope that they put out good content, because they could just as easily use it as an excuse. Like, we got $30, we have to put out 4 things of content, and you know what? Let's just throw this together and release it. Now I know there's obviously both ends of the spectrum, you're going to find examples. But at the same time, I don't feel comfortable as a consumer giving someone, like I saw now, like what game was this recently? It was where you could pre-order the game and pre-order the season pass for it, and it's just like, why would I do that?
Zach, BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, okay.
That's the one.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm pumped for BioShock Infinite. I don't mind pre-ordering the game because like $5, that's it, and you know I can get that money back if I want to cancel it. But the idea of buying a season pass and getting this code that's not refundable just doesn't sit well with me. It seems like there's too many potential problems later on down the road that people are going to take advantage of something like that. So,
see, I think I'm going to probably be the same way. For season passes, I think when Borderlands 2 came out with their season pass, it was already like 2 DLCs in. So when you look at the individual pricing for the DLC, and I looked at the reviews and they said they were decent DLCs, completely worth it. So when you can buy a season pass and you get 4 DLCs for the price of 3, it's like, well, you know what? They're on the track record. I can give them this. Especially when a DLC is only $20.
Right, that was the same thing with Battlefield 3. When they announced the premium, they're like, here's all the X packs we got coming out, so you knew what you were buying.
Yeah, and they didn't actually announce the premium service until like what, the year after Battlefield actually released, or it was at least 6 months after.
Well, I think Battlefield Premium, can you actually buy premium package for it? I remember when they first started advertising it, it was called Battlefield Premium, where you actually got the game as well. So that was like $80 or something.
I don't remember, but they were talking a bunch about that game and obviously what they were going to be doing. I think as a person like Jack who's picked up Battlefield Premium, I kind of feel like I've gotten my money's worth out of it. Initially, I was kind of skeptical because, again, I was skeptical like you and Zach, where I don't, especially the way that they talked about it on stage at E3. About, look at all this great value. This is valued at like $89.99, but we're gonna sell it to you for $50 or $60.
But
wait, we're giving you such a great deal. And it's like valuing like content like that just comes off so douchebaggy, like EA PR bullshit, like is the worst way of advertising something.
Well, was Vince selling them to you or something?
It felt like it, to be honest.
You're gonna love my nuts.
See, Sato, I had the problem where I played, I played Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, and my friends are like, oh, did you get the new DLC? I'm like, fine, I'll get it. Oh, did you get the new DLC? Fine, I get just to play with friends. So when Battlefield announced the premium, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting this, so I'm not just buying the DLC itself, which is going to cost more. So I just got the premium just for that case.
Yeah. So, Jack, do you think you got your money's worth out of it?
I definitely agree, because I haven't been playing with friends, like the Sleeper hasn't been playing that much. I hopped on it, like this end game, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to play it. I'm like, here's superiority, and I love Capture the Flag because it's the problem I have with Battlefield 3, if you're not playing with a group and you have to do objectives, I'm usually like solo, and I'll go like 5 and 23 because I'm trying to capture points by myself. But the Capture the Flag, I enjoyed a lot more than the points, and yes, I definitely think I got my money out of it, because when Sleeper stopped playing it, I was playing with another friend, and we were playing for like hours, like where he's usually like, dude, I gotta go to sleep, I can't stay up late, like when we first played SimCity, that type of grinding on the game.
Yeah, no, it's I'm glad that we both kind of feel good about it, because up until this point, it's the leaks happened with Battlefield 4, and now we're a little bit less than 2 weeks away from GDC, where they're going to be talking about Battlefield 4 and showing it off. Does it feel like it's too soon to anybody else? To me,
yeah, because there's a game called Bad Company 3 that should be coming out next.
Ugh, Bad Company is not Battlefield.
I love Bad Company. That's I've got so many. I like the multiplayer experience in that as well. Just I haven't played much of 3, so you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but to my understanding, that the environment in 3 is not destructible like it was in Bad Company.
Well, for Battlefield 3, when the DLCs came out, they were actually more destructible, but they're not as destructible as Bad Company. But Bad Company only had certain... Bad Company only had certain buildings that were completely destructible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
I couldn't
in-
play Bad Company because there was no cover. It was all just every time you try
I
to
thought
like
it was
duck behind
awesome.
something. Oh,
For
I
that
love
reason.
Bad
everything
Company.
exploded. No, you're dead.
Now, what we
I-
can really wish for is for Battlefield 4 is that if they actually came out with something like Red Faction Destruction.
I was
That would be
yes.
sweet.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up. I thought that tech was like the coolest thing I'd ever fucking seen in my life when that game came out for the first time. Like,
Yeah.
that Geomod or whatever they called it originally. That was so awesome.
And it worked. It
Yeah.
worked.
It was crazy.
It's
Like
so
if
cool.
you would call an artillery strike in on a building, like the shell would take out a section of the roof. It wasn't like some weird. I mean, just the idea that, and then like if you're a sniper up in the building, you're like, oh crap, there's a hole right here. I'm just going to use this to start shooting out of. Or like I remember if a building collapsed, like you could crawl up in the collapsed building, and like I would snipe people from like inside these destroyed buildings, and people would just like run by you and not think to look in there. Like there could be a guy in there. It's like, well, just because that building's level doesn't mean you can't still use it for gameplay purposes. And just like the sandboxiness of it was just incredible. I loved it so much.
Yeah, I'm surprised with all the tech and all this, like, and this is maybe this is like one thing that I really want to see in the next gen, and I really do want them to bring that back, because I think that's like one of the only things, along with maybe better AI or more dudes on screen, that can sort of wow me again. So having
Well, let's go. Hold on. Let's go back real quick.
Sure.
Zach, you were talking about Battlefield, weren't you?
Yeah. Bad Company
And
2.
Sato and I were talking about Red Faction, weren't we? Or Sato, were you talking about Red Faction? I kind of got lost in the Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, because I got lost. I'm like,
You segued the shit out of it.
Yeah, we all thought
I know
Red
that-
Faction was great.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just speaking on behalf of my experience with Bad Company 2's multiplayer. I had like 200 hours into that.
No, see, I thought you played Red Faction. I thought you were talking about. I'm like, no, I don't remember having great sniper areas for Red Faction.
Oh,
Sorry
Sato,
about that.
Sato, by the way, I already logged in 11 hours of fucking in-game already.
That's good. It's awesome. Yeah. So I don't know, Battlefield 4. Too early? Is it? What do you as players that played it a lot? What do you need it to do for you to keep you interested? Are you planning on picking it up? Is it worth it to you?
What is it even gonna be? I mean, I think it's too soon.
It's gonna have more players on the console, hopefully. Fuck.
I think it's too soon as well. Like they should let these initial consoles launch, get a time to build up some sort of install base, and then design a game for that. Because right now it almost seems like it's going to be too early to the point where this was designed on, for current gen consoles, and they're doing that last second upgrade to everything. But then again, it's hard to say because like if these new consoles are more PCs than they are consoles, then it shouldn't be hard to make something for a PC and then port it over to console at the last second.
Give me a revamped version for Battlefield 4 being a better version of 2142.
Yeah. I will say, it's kind of neat to kind of about somebody a GT have actually brought up in chat. PlanetSide 2, I have a feeling that that's going to be on PlayStation 4. I can't see them not putting PlanetSide 2 on PlayStation 4. It is about the only game on that platform, or that Sony Online platform, that can really kind of exist on the new consoles like that. And next to Battlefield 4, whatever it is, or whatever it ends up looking like, I kind of wonder how we'll actually cope. But then again, Battlefield is synonymous, like it is its own brand.
Well, that's why
PlanetSide,
they
not so
have to
much.
go. That's why they have to really focus on introducing physics, in my opinion, more to the game, because there's not a lot of that in PlanetSide 2, like destructible environments
There's
on the
none of
same. Yeah,
Not yet,
so
anyways.
I mean, and they could add that, but that's gonna be tough. But
Yeah.
the thing that they do have is the massive battles, which I don't know if I necessarily want that. Like, I don't mind having like a 16 versus 16, smaller, like smaller scale battle. I just like. It's interesting because you're talking about graphics and things like that. I'm on the verge of finishing Crisis 3, and it has incredible, stunning graphics on the computer, but at the same time, it doesn't wow me like it once did, like the new graphic leap or anything like that. And we're not going to see a big graphic leap in this generation of consoles. So it's like start doing the other things, like like we talked about with physics, being able to take out walls, open up new holes into buildings, and using that to get into, like, it kind of changes the whole way the game works. Instead of there being choke points, it's like, well, let's create our own choke point, or let's create our own new entrance into this area. So that's the kind of stuff that they need to do. Is like, in my opinion, that's the direction they need to go. Is just to make it more realistic in terms of, this is how the environment would react if a bomb went off right here, or if a tank like drove through this building, or anything like that.
So, any final thoughts on Battlefield 4 from you guys? Is there anything else that you want to add about this?
Nope.
Before we move on. Okay. All right. So, last but not least, there is the Mass Effect 3 DLC that came out this last week called Citadel. So yeah. Citadel.
Can you give me a rundown, like what exactly it is? I know it's supposed to be like more relaxed and like some sort of playful, I guess. I don't know.
It's like if you took
Playful?
Mass Effect
I
and
don't know.
combined it with Die Hard, and
Yeah,
and then released it.
It's the holiday like pack where you get like, you know, the holiday episode where, you know, you get to see your TV show kind of like branch off from reality and just like let's get together and just, you know, do some random partying, and you know, it's like the holiday special basically is kind of what it is. And in that way, it seems to have satisfied fans, at least mostly. People seem to be very, very happy with it. I know the question
It's
that will be
massive
asked.
too, isn't it? Like a 5 gigabyte.
It's 4 gigabytes, yeah. 4 gigabytes.
4
in total.
gigabyte DLC.
How long did it
Yeah.
take to beat it?
They added a shit ton in that. There's a massive amount in there.
Well-
How long did it take to beat it? The main story portion, which is hilarious. Like the story in this game is freaking great.
About 65 minutes.
No, it was like a good. it was a good 6 or 7 hours total, somewhere around there. I think for me.
There's a lot of extra stuff you can do with it as well.
Yeah.
Like it gives
And,
you
there's
the chance to pretty much, okay, so like there's this party that you throw, and you get to invite whoever you want to come to this party, which pretty much gives you access to anyone in the Mass Effect 3 universe.
and
two,
two.
yeah.
Kasumi is in there too.
And so you're basically like, well, these are my friends. This is who I want to come to this party. And so everyone just kind of shows up, and you're all hanging out and stuff like that. So it gives you a chance to pretty much have like one last interaction with any character that you would want kind of in that universe. And it even throws some weird characters in there as well, like the shuttle pilot, or just random stuff. So it's like that's basically what it is. It's an excuse for you, because that's the thing everyone loved about with Mass Effect, is they created these relationships with all the side characters in that. I'm a huge fan of Garrus in that game, and so anything that would basically give me a chance to like get to know Garrus more, figure out what his character was, or get some backstory on him, it's like, yeah, I'll take advantage of that. And so that's what this kind of does, is it's like, well, here's all of the characters that you loved, and here's a chance to add a little bit more to that.
Yeah, it's like Sonata said, it's probably the best way to describe it. It is the reunion movie DLC before Shepard dies at the end. You know, it's kind of like bringing them in, and you know, kind of giving you an access to the characters post all this stuff going on. So yeah, it happens like right before the end of the game. So it's just kind of anything but sorry, but yeah. So
How much does it
it's
cost?
a neat, $15.
That's not bad.
It's kind of weird
not
if you
too
put
bad.
it in context of the game, though. Like, if you're gonna sit down today and play through the game with all the DLC, there's gonna be like this weird middle part where you're like running around trying to save the galaxy, and then all of a sudden you stop to have this massive party in the middle of that.
Yeah, so in that way, it's kind of secluded from the rest of the stuff. It didn't make me cry per se, but it was heart touching, you know, seeing those characters again.
Yeah, sure.
Just saying. You know, there's this party goes from like calm to, you know, wild, and then you get to also then see the after effects, the hangovers, and people sleeping with people during the party, heavily implied.
Did they put a laugh track in it?
No, not really. No, but Yeah, no, it's interesting getting each character that you talk with has their own story arc through it. So Joker's is the best, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but Joker's portion is freaking hilarious.
Is it about robosexuals?
I wish I could stop loving you.
No, it's better than that. It's really better than that. Yeah, but each character has its own like arc, and you can kind of go through that and see what they're about, and see what what their drunk version or whatever would be or anything like that. But yeah, it's interesting. It's adds a lot to it. There's also additional romance stuff for all the characters, so that's good if you're into that. But yeah, overall it's good. It's all around really good. I thought it was about as best as they could have done to kind of end the series. It's kind of a nice sort of topping on the end of that game and that series as a whole. It's not returning, so it's kind of bittersweet.
Because, I thought they said that they were making another Mass Effect game.
They're making another Mass Effect game, yes, but it's not going to be Shepard. It's not going to be the characters that you care about from this trilogy. So in that way, it's kind of you're never going to see these characters again, regardless, or at least it's assumed that you're not going to. This is the end, sort of.
I think it depends on what they choose as canon.
Yeah, in fact, there's even a final scene where it's just sort of like you with your partners sort of staring at the Normandy, overlooking the deck, and yeah, it's really.
Did you cry like you cried in The Walking Dead on this one?
Kinda, yeah, but not really as much. Because I'd already sort of, I think we already knew, we had already come to expect the trilogy being, kind of ending. We had gotten to that point. I think I cried more at the actual end than I did in this, but yeah, I actually really did.
Sato, the answer is no. I didn't cry. No. It's a video game.
Hey, it's okay. Like I cried at the end of Walking Dead. I'll admit that.
Walking Dead, I was bawling at 3 a.m. in the morning.
I didn't. That sounds like me. That sounds like me and my wife. Like, I go to bed, and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't even know how to tell you this without coming across as a complete, like, weirdo. I was like, I just finished this video game, and I don't know how to explain it to you, but it was really gut-wrenching. That's all I can say.
Yep. But apparently it's just a video game, Sleeper. Just a video game.
Stop crying.
All right. But yeah, it's good. Everybody should pick it up. It's really, really great. For those people who actually care about the series, it is definitely a good one to pick up. And as an ender to this podcast, I'd like to remind people to stop using the exploit, use an open broadcaster instead.
Yep.
If you're an adult, you can choose what you want to use.
No,
we highly recommend using open broadcaster. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah,
you can upload at 1080p.
The mods are not total assholes who don't diagnose your problems.
You were cross-branding. You were cross-branding.
No, well, okay, so let me explain this real quick. Let me just elaborate real quick as the ending thing. Because I don't want to seem like I'm just some troll on a forum. Because I wasn't. There was an issue that I've been having with my capture card for now going on 3 months. They tried to diagnose the issues. They were having issues trying to figure out what the issue was. They couldn't reproduce the issue. So they just basically gave updates constantly. Just gave the same updates where they're not able to find out what the issue is, can't figure it out. And then at the end of the day, they were able to finally find what the issue was, quote unquote, or not really. Just basically saying the same thing over and over again. Basically,
distraction. It
was sort of distraction, like, hey, we're addressing the issue, not really. And this went on for 3 months, and they unfortunately never addressed it. So I, in an attempt to try to fix it, was trying an open broadcaster and a bunch of other streaming sources to kind of see if there was any sort of solution on their end, see if it worked on some other platforms. And so I found a solution to it. I found Jim from Open Broadcaster talking about the issue, actually trying to diagnose it as well. And yeah, they did finally find it and fix it on the Open Broadcaster end. Unfortunately for me, I actually referenced his post. I referenced the fact that they had figured it out, or at least the problem was sort of forwarding the developers to their fix. And so they ended up deleting a lot of my posts and locking the thread entirely.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. I mean, I'm just trying to help. I'm not trying to troll. I'm not saying like, hey, they fixed it. You guys didn't fix it. F you. I wasn't doing that. I was just trying to say,
You're
hey,
just saying,
you guys.
hey, there's a solution out there.
That's how they read
there's
it.
Evidence.
Yeah.
You're not just some crazy fan that's like, I know you can fix this because other people have fixed this. You actually lay out a logical argument and show your evidence.
And, you know, as far as a community managing sort of deal is, you know, that's really terrible way to handle your community. So I just say, don't use exploit. You can make up your own mind, but I would say that after that experience, I just thought that was really douchey. That's all.
I do love
PSA.
making enemies.
Yep.
We already have your money. We don't need your tears here too.
Yep. So yeah, that's all I would say. Anyways, so we want to go down and plugs.
Sure.
I guess we could probably end up wrapping this up.
So we're wrapping this up.
Yep. All right. So thanks, guys, for listening and for watching an image. This is Sleeper. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter.
At Live
Pixel. Son of a... We got too many different names.
On Twitter at Live Pixel Gaming, and you can also follow the website and see all of our posts at thelivepixel.com.
Make sure you follow us on Twitch. I'm Sleeper again.
Where can we find you on Twitter?
I need to stop saying make sure. You can follow me on Twitter at ThatOneSleeper.
Make it so.
Jack?
You can follow me at Jaegerade, even though I'll be gone, but I'll give updates and let you know what's going on.
You're gonna go play in the big old sandbox.
He's going overseas.
Battlefield.
Wish him well. He's gonna be going over to the front lines. So we wish you the best of luck, Jack. For your fourth tour. Fourth tour, right, Jack?
Yes, third in the sandbox.
Ah, jeez. Well, best of luck to you. I'm Justin Lowe, and you can find me at Zarak on Twitter. I can't really follow up that. I'm not nearly as cool as that.
I am Jordan Caudle, aka Ghost, and you can follow me on Twitter at GhostIsInFire. Mr. Zach?
I'm Zach Brown, and you can follow me on Twitter, ZachBrown80. It's at ZachBrown83. Also, I have a website that I run called Board and Base. It's boardandbase.com. If you're interested in tabletop gaming in any form, card games, board games, miniature games, RPG games, head over to our website and check it out. We have a podcast. We do some demos. We do a lot of reviews, things like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Sleeper, you want to wrap things up?
And that will be it. We're not going to be leaving in a concerto or whatever the hell that thing's called.
Barbershop Quartet.
Barbershop Quartet. 3, 2, 1. Goodbye. Bye. Say bye, Zach.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.